Good afternoon, children. So, children, we are again with the chapter Sectors of Economy. Children, in our last class, we discussed about the division of sectors according to the economic activities, second, on the basis of employment condition, and third, on the basis of ownership of factors of production. The first division was, according to economic activities, primary, secondary and tertiary sector. And second, according to employment conditions, organized and unorganized sector. And lastly, according to ownership of factors of production, we discussed about the division, and that is public sector and private sector. I'd also given you different example. Then we also discussed about what is GDP and how GDP is being calculated. In the first part of my class, I discussed about primary, secondary and tertiary sector and how these sectors are interdependent upon each other. In that class, I had not told you about the historical changes in the preferences of the sector. These things you would have studied in the previous classes also, or if you have not studied, you have read in the newspapers also. That in past, when we got independence, mostly what was the main occupation of the people? All of you must be knowing, mostly the people were dependent upon farming. And doing farming or agricultural activities was the main occupation of the people at that time. So naturally, if people are involved in farming activities, what will be the source of income? The income will be what they earn from doing that activity. And you know very well that if most of the people were involved in farming, what was the situation at that time? The GDP of our country, GDP I've already taught you, the contribution in GDP, which sector gave the maximum contribution? That sector was primary sector. Primary sector was the largest contributor to the national income or to the GDP or gross domestic product of our country. Then after that, the preferences of the people change. I had explained you regarding the Green Revolution. Due to Green Revolution, what happened? Agriculture production increased. Machines were used in agricultural sector in place of human beings. Tractors, threshers, all these things were used. And due to this, the necessity of human beings reduced in farming sector and people started migrating themselves in urban areas in the search of jobs, and industries came into existence. And what happened, children? Many agro-based industries started developing. For example, sugar mill were open. Then various different types of brick factory, biscuit factories, they came into existence. And people started shifting from rural areas to urban areas. And what came into existence? Manufacturing sector or secondary sector. So after 60s and 70s, secondary sector developed at a very fast rate and they also contributed mostly more in the GDP of our country. But now at present, after 2000, what has happened? The picture has changed, the scenario has changed. Now the largest contributor to GDP is tertiary sector, that is service sector. I had already taught you in my previous class, tertiary sector includes various services like transportation, banking, education, then insurance, warehousing. These are the different services which are included in the service sector. And as service sector is concerned with services, it is named as service sector. So the preferences change in the starting phase just after independence. More contribution to GDP came from which sector? That is primary sector. After that, it has shifted to secondary sector. And now the largest contributor to the GDP is tertiary sector. Now, and these things are already explained in the form of graph in your NCERT book. So, you just now, if you have taken out your book, you can see in your textbook that these preferences are shown that in starting in 50s, 60s, primary sector was the largest contributor, after that secondary, and now at present tertiary. Now children, you would be thinking that if tertiary sector is the largest contributor to the national income or gross domestic product, then the employment opportunities or the people are most maximum they are included, they are employed in tertiary sector. No children. This is not the fact. Though tertiary sector contributes maximum to the GDP, but still in our country, primary sector is the largest contributor to the employment. Most of the people are still they are involved in primary sector because primary sector is only the activity in which no education, no qualification is required. People, if they're illiterate also, they can earn their livelihood in primary sector. And still in our country, 100% literacy is not there. In tertiary sector, only people who are educated and skilled, they get employment at a very fast rate. They are employed very early or they get employment easily. But in primary sector, most of the people are absorbed and involved. And due to this, what is happening? Still the largest employment contributor in our country is primary sector. And mostly every year you see in board also and in your school exams also question comes from this portion that which sector is still the largest employment provider, and mostly children get confused and they write tertiary sector. No children, tertiary sector is the largest contributor to the GDP, but it is not the largest employment provider. Still the largest employment provider is primary sector. But here also one confusion is there. The largest provider is primary sector. Then why still in primary sector people are not so prosperous in the rural area? Primary sector provides employment, but this employment is disguised unemployment or underemployment. Children, I have only taught you in class 9th regarding disguised employment. Disguised unemployment is a situation in which a person feels that he is employed, but in reality, his contribution to the total production is zero. I have already explained you this in detail in class 9th. I have given you an example also at that time that in any agricultural activity, if two people are required due to unemployment, the whole family is involved in that. And the result is the total production is not increasing at a very fast rate. So though employment is provided, but disguised unemployment is there in rural areas or in primary sector. So we have done this. We have discussed the historical changes in preferences of the sector. Now the next point we will discuss in this chapter is what is the rising importance, why this tertiary sector is becoming more and more important throughout the world and especially in our country. The reason is the mentality of people have changed. Development is taking place at a very fast rate. Due to green revolution also, due to industrialization also, due to use of more and more machines, total production is increasing. And due to this, more transportation, insurance, warehousing, all these services have become a necessity. Lifestyle of people have changed. This is also one of the reason. First, the people were stitching their clothes at home. They were doing other activities at home. Teaching work was also done at home. People were not preferring coaching centers. Then many other activities. You can give many examples. Mostly they were doing at home. But now you see that most of the work is done by different service providers. For example, the services of washerman, the services of banking, various ATM booths are there, where more production has been done, need of transportation has increased. First, people were doing many work by walking also, but now for small activities also, they want different means of transportation. They want a easy life. First, people were cooking food at their home, but now people want a change. Every weekend, they go in the restaurants, they go in the hotels. People prefer outing, they go to different tourist places. And now, tourism has also become a very important industry. So, as preferences of people have changed, income level of people has increased, and people are preferring and demanding the different services. And due to this, not only in India but throughout the world, importance of tertiary sector is increasing. And that is why if importance of tertiary sector is increasing, what is happening, children? And tertiary sector has become the most important sector and it is providing maximum to the GDP. So from this portion also question comes that discuss the points or discuss the reasons which has led to increase in importance of tertiary sector. Now I will discuss another point. From this also the question comes that how children employment opportunities can be created in our country in rural and urban area. The first example is education. Children, all of you know that population of our country is increasing at a very faster rate. Now in villages you see that schools are there, but then also the children of the school, the children of the villages, they don't get the facilities of good schools. Certain government schools are there. In that schools also children are not going regularly. The percentage of teachers is very less in compared to children. So more and more schools are required to be opened in the rural areas or in urban areas also. But more requirement is there in rural areas. So if schools are opened, this is also one of the source of creating employment in our country, because by opening of the school, what will be required? Teachers, teaching staff, non-teaching staff, they will also get employment. Second is health sector. Still in our country, in villages, less hospitals are there. Only certain primary health centers are there, and they are also not well facilitated. So if good hospitals are opened in the villages, this will also create employment opportunities. With the opening of the hospitals, what will happen? More and more doctors will be employed, compounders, nurses and various other staff. Then many other things are there. In the villages, certain agro-based industries can be started. Many villages are now becoming semi-urban areas. In those semi-urban areas, government can give funds to start many agro-based industries like sugar industry, then cotton industry, cotton textile, brick factory, biscuit factory, and many other factories which are dependent upon agricultural activities. So by opening the agro-based industries, employment opportunities can be created. In the villages, children, you know that various different activities like construction of the roads, in urban areas, bridges. For this also, laborers are required. So government can start these activities and provide more and more employment. Now, one more important thing is which creates employment is tourism industry. Children, you know very well that. Now, I had explained you just few minutes before that tourism has become a passion of the people nowadays. If the government spends or invests money in developing different areas in our country, in beautifying different areas, they can earn maximum income from tourism industry. I'll give you example of our city Patna. Children, all of you must have visited Golghar. You see how Golghar has been deserted. If our Bihar government, they develop Golghar, in that they just they make different fountains and beautify it, what will happen? More and more tourists will go there. You can also take example of different parks are there in our city Patna. Now if they are beautified, what will happen? The people or the foreigners or the Indians which come in Bihar, they will visit those places and it will become a source of income. Like this, many other areas in our country are there. They are so beautiful, but due as investment is not being done, as they are not beautified, what is happening? People don't go over there. So if government spends more money in tourism industry, this will also become create employment opportunity in our country. So these are the different ways through which employment opportunities can be created and the problem of unemployment can be solved. So these were the two topics which were left out in this lesson. We have completed these topics and now just I will revise what we have done. We have discussed primary sector, secondary, tertiary. We have discussed organized and unorganized sector. And lastly, we have discussed public sector and private sector and importance of public sector in India. So this chapter has been completed. I will give you certain questions and after this lecture, I'll give you certain notes also that you will see it and you will revise it. So the questions which are most of asked in this lessons are, I will first start from the first portion. The first portion is differentiate between primary sector, tertiary sector and secondary sector. This question is most probably asked. Second, what is organized sector and unorganized sector? This question can also be asked in this way. Differentiate between organized and unorganized sector with examples. Then a question like, what steps are being taken by a government to improve the working conditions of the laborers of unorganized sector? This question is also most commonly asked. And next question, differentiate between public sector units and private sector units. Next will be, what is the importance of public sector in developing country like India? Or public sector is a must in developing country like India? Justify this statement. Mostly this type of questions are asked in your board exams. So if you make a copy, you will write the answers to these questions, and you will also write the answers to the questions which are given in your exercise and complete the copy. And if you have any problem anywhere, you can ask me after this video. So thank you children. In my next class, we'll start the new lesson, that is money and credit. You read it, we'll start. So thank you children.